Welcome back to the Simulation Rugby League Premiership here on a Tuesday night. Welcome to Suncorp Stadium. My name is Logan Strange. Joining me in the commentary box for the first time tonight, Ollie Pache. The Broncos taking on the Rabbitohs in what is set to be a big game for the Rabbitohs, possibly their biggest game of the season, with top four hopes on the line. What do the Broncos need to do to spoil the party at home for the Rabbitohs?
Well, Logan, I definitely think they have to look for Levi Raymond to put in some huge kicks for them. He's been the main man for them, but he only has one assist thus far this season. He's going to need to at least double that tally, I think, in order for any way for him to win this game. And also looking for Sam Herbert to perhaps make some big breaks. Of course, I do have Mark Iron as well, but he'll be playing in the centres for this one. As for South Sydney, I think it should just be business as usual, though they do have a new halves combination. They've gone for Caleb halfback, and Liam Ryan, the captain, has moved to the 5'8", with Josh Butterfield taking up the fullback role. So a lot of things to spotlight here, and it'll be definitely something to keep an eye on how that new halves combination meshes, and also whether the Broncos half Raymond can mount some more try assists to add on to his tally of, well, one, in order to try and get them a possible spoiler win and to force the Rabbitohs to really have to push against the Auckland Warriors to make the finals.
Yeah, those halves combinations are the ones that both sides will be looking for. Of course, Cody Mansour making his debut for the Broncos tonight, partnering up with Levi Raymond as Spillane gets a good kick away. A little bit of wind behind the Broncos in this first half as the ball almost trickles over the back. In fact, Butterfield picked it up, but it's slippery conditions here in Brisbane, and he has put a foot on the back of the dead ball line. So Cahill will restart with the line drop out. Broncos with early field position here, Ollie, but it's really the defence that's going to have to step up in these opening couple of minutes with the rain coming down hard.
Yeah, I mean, not to make light of the weather, but I think that's vastly inexperienced work there from Josh Butterfield. Having to play at fullback, ends up just taking it over the line himself. But, he tried to let that go dead. Jack Spillane put in a deft kick. We focus on the halves combination so often, but that time it's a lock putting in the kick, and ends up being that Butterfield just has to, didn't have to take it dead, but makes an error in doing so. And now the Broncos got ready to mount an attack, but, Levi Raymond has taken himself out of a play here on the last tackle.
It is the final tackle, Ollie, as Iron will be forced to kick. Not a bad kick from Iron, but as we mentioned, the wind behind the Broncos in this first 40 minutes and pushed a little bit too deep. But yes, Butterfield, his first game at the number one this season for the Rabbitohs, possibly the first game of his career at fullback. I'm not too sure, I have to double check that. But a little bit of a mistake there, possibly a few nerves in the early stages. Obviously, Liam Ryan has been the Rabbitohs fullback for much of the past 2 or 3 seasons. But with the announcement coming during the week that Liam Ryan might possibly be taking those captaincy duties in Season 5 and rumours that there could be a new fullback on the way, Ryan might find himself in the halves come Season 5. So this could be a bit of a tester for the Rabbitohs, but I don't know if it's the right time to be testing combinations with the finals on the line. You'd think they'd be trying to, use their trusted combinations, Ollie.
Yeah, I mean, part of it might just be that they underestimate their opponents. They want to perhaps play down to their competition, and the Broncos, the only team winless thus far this season. Yes, even the Panthers won. I think that's kind of what their mindset was when naming the team on their Friday, is that they thought the Broncos aren't that good a squad. We can probably use this opportunity to see what Liam can do as a 5'8", alongside Jack Carl in that halfback role, and see what ends up coming from that.
It's been a good start to the Broncos so far, forcing the Rabbitohs back on all 3 occasions. Collins returns this one, just short of his own 40 on that far touchline, about a metre or so in from the sideline as Remy charges through the middle, palms off one of the Broncos' would-be tacklers, and they're just short of the halfway line as they go left side to Allison. cutting back on the inside. A few rumours about Jackson Allison for next season. They go to Davis. Good support play by the big second rower. Forcing a good tackle just short of the 40. They'll go to Cutler this time, the former Warriors centre. Back in the number 4 jumper tonight. So Thorne will play the ball. Good set here from the Rabbitohs after that deep Broncos kick, and a good chase from South Sydney outside backs as Luka Moscow trapped just short of the Broncos 20.
Hefty shot laid on there. Kodar Diab was reeling and didn't seem like Rabbitohs wanted to complete the tackle. Definitely feel like Jai Collins there with that early sidestep just got the Rabbitohs out of a bit of danger. You know, had he been pinned back on the 20 or 30, they probably wouldn't have been able to try and get the Broncos pinned deep either. And that'll be something I think they need to rely on as well. They need to be able to find those wing backs and their fullback rather. Of course, they do have Butterfield playing there this time as he receives it now. I think those kick returns from Butterfield, from Tyrone Clay, and of course from the aforementioned Jai Collins. That'll be one of the things the Broncos will be tested on.
Jai Collins, only a 66 rated sidestep, but the thing that does help Jai is he has got an 83 speed as Cahill just crunches that one through the middle, really testing this Broncos defence. So the Rabbitohs as Thorne makes a dart from dummy half, taken down in a good tackle by Bo Sadler. They're only a metre out here, South Sydney. They go flat to Hayden Davis, charging towards the line, and he will be held up just over the edge of it. And the Rabbitohs will get a final tackle on the 10 as Ryan decides to run, spots a gap, but it closes pretty quickly. And the Rabbitohs in that set with a rather underwhelming play.
Yeah, I mean, on that fourth tackle there, James Thorne just saw Jason Farrer was playing loose at marker. Thought he'd just take advantage of a one-marker opportunity, but ended up still being swallowed up by the goal line defense of the Broncos. And I think Liam Ryan just had his fullback tendencies kick in there, just try and break through the line rather than play a kick. And as such, an intercept there. Just needed to try and find a little bit more out of that. And I think Ryan just failed to realize what the right option there was. But, you know, learning experience, first game at 5'8", that'll be something that he can probably just put in the playbook, just say, all right, didn't work. Let's try something else next time around.
We mentioned Jai Collins sidestep. Well, Liam Ryan sidesteps up at 99. He's got not a bad pass on him either, so you can understand why he would try and take that line on as they go short to Davis. It's a flat ball to Hayden Davis. He will be held up just short of the line. Referee calls held early. Cahill now wrapped up in some good Broncos defences. Ryan kicks it, picked up by Mason Remy, and the big hulking Rabbitohs front rower crosses for the first try of the game.
Huge kick there. That was the one that they needed. Liam Ryan just puts the grubber kick in, bounces right off the feet of Jason Farrer. He immediately just bounces up right into the hands of Mason Remy. Couldn't have placed it any better off the foot of Farrer. And then he just waltzes his way over. Easy dive through. And South Sydney perhaps getting a bit of a lucky break there with that bounce, but better to be lucky than good. And South Sydney will capitalise with their first 4 points of the match.
Mason Remy crossing for his second try of the season, the third of his career after making his debut way back in season 1 for Penrith. And just what Jai Collins would have been hoping for. 14 minutes gone here at Suncorp Stadium. The Rabbitohs yet to beat the Broncos at Suncorp Stadium. This is the third time the two teams have come up against each other. The first time it's been in the rain. And you'd have to say South Sydney are probably more adept to playing in the wet conditions. I know that Jai Collins has got a lot of experience playing in the wet, especially at those junior grades. I know you were down with the sides before the game, and you had a quick word to Jai in regards to the overhead weather conditions. Any idea on sort of how he's going to approach this game?
Well, Jai basically said that they just need to play the same way that they do. Whether as much as, they might have the advantage in it, Jai does have some experience playing in the Irish junior grades, no less. But that'll be something that they look forward to. Oh, Liam Ryan knocks on, and now a line break.
Jack Spillane playing in the 13, who comes away with that one just short of the halfway line. Fortunate bounce of the ball for the Broncos. Ryan coming up with the mistake that time.
Yeah, just got harried there, and Spillane picked it up. Just to finish off what Collins was saying, he basically said that they're going to approach this game the same way that they approach every game, really. Of course, I do have a new halves combination, but he says that the weather doesn't change too much in what their game plan is. They just feel like what they are going for right now is solid, trying to get Ryan more experience at that half, of course, and what he will be doing. And forget to mention Jack Carl's kicking game as well. That'll be something that Jai said will be pertinent, but have to wait and see on that one as Raymond puts deft kick in, but there's Liam Ryan to scoop it right back up.
Chasers not coming through for the Broncos at that time. It was plays on that far side. Raymond trying to set it up for his outside centres, but straight to Liam Ryan, who had no problems picking that one up. A couple of intercepts, Ollie, in the opening 20 minutes of this one. Both sides probably coming into this one with a lot of pressure on them. The Rabbitohs obviously knowing that a win here is absolutely crucial to any hopes that they have on continuing their finals dominance that they've had over the last couple of seasons, as Ryan punches it close to the sideline, picks it up, and just like we saw from Josh Butterfield in those opening couple of minutes, Justin Plays has just slid his right foot over the sideline, and it was a good kick from Liam Ryan. Justin behind the 40, and Plays knew it.
Yep, that was almost pinpoint perfect there from Liam Ryan. The only fault was that it just didn't hold up in the rain, of course. That was something that we had briefly touched on. Does the weather affect things? And then it probably did affect that kick, but now we'll just holding for a moment here as Saddle Carter is driven back. I think Justin Place just got harried by the chasers. Thought it was a bit too much invisible pressure on him.
Thorne tries to push his way over, doesn't quite have the size advantage up against Jason Farah, and I think it was Simon Hunt as well. No try is the call by the bunker, the right decision made there. So tackle 3 here for the Rabbitohs. They go short side all of a sudden, and Jai Collins catches the defence out napping, and the Broncos have been exposed. Collins crosses for another.
Wow, it was almost a slip and slide play at that time. He ended up just getting past the ankle tap of Tyler Weston, and then he almost goannas himself forward there. Just able to get by there. Was a really good option as well. We just decided after James Thorne was tackled, let's try a short side raid, and that's exactly what they got there. It was Allison via saddle car to Jai Collins, and Collins just able to get himself past Weston. And a huge try there in terms of the context of this game. Going up 10, but difficult kick here for Carl.
Can't quite bring it around. Tell you what, he started it far enough out to the right. It almost went into up the tunnel at halfway. No change to the score. It remains 10 points to 0. The South Sydney Rabbitohs leading here at Suncorp Stadium over the Brisbane Broncos. 21 minutes gone. Round 6 action in the Simulation Rugby League Premiership. Jai Collins going over for the second try of the evening. His 9th try in the Simulation Rugby League Premiership. And one player that really has turned the tide on his career after moving to the wing back in Season 3. Obviously, the first couple of seasons of his career in the SRL was spent at centre and a couple of games in the second row. But the last couple of seasons has scored both 4 and 3 tries respectively in each season.
Yeah, and well, now I believe I would make it. You said he had 9 tries, which I believe would make it 4 and 3. So, I mean, could be tying a personal best if he ends up being able to go over here as he tries to get by, but no avail that time. Again, I do think that this is one of the things that South Sydney have just been able to find a pretty decent player in, is just having someone that can be that utility man that can play in the backs, even play the forwards on occasion, and Jai has provided a lot for them, and I think he's a well-deserving captain as well. He's needed to be that, solid rock wherever he's been, and I think he's lived up to that and more with how he's played, as the Broncos end up getting a 7-tackle set of a kick that just rolled dead.
Yeah, Jai Collins, the last remaining original SRL captain from season 1. Allegedly handing over the reins at the end of the current season, but has been a stalwart for South Sydney here in the SRL. As they find Herban on the inside, as a quiet opening 25 minutes, Sam Herban really needs to inject himself, finding himself back in the number 1 jumper here tonight. After spending the last week or so in the halves, Ford charges that one just short of the 30 here. Broncos needing to score next, you'd have to say, with 15 minutes until half-time. Final tackle was Alexander Chapman. Will play the ball. Raymond decides to run it and knocks it on. Just fumbles as he tried to transfer the ball from his left hand to his right hand. And under pressure from Mason, Remy and Aaron O'Hare, Raymond has just coughed the pill up.
Yeah, I think he wasn't actually trying to transfer it hand to hand, or I think he was trying to go hand to foot, but ended up just being hit as he was trying to get the kick away. And when he basically had his feet taken out from under him, he couldn't get to the ball, and as such ends up fumbling it away. And a recovery there for Tallis Riff means that South Sydney get a huge let-off there, with Brisbane getting their first real attacking opportunity after their first one, so second overall. And now they have to be put on the back foot again, 2/6 of a way through this game. Just now needing to fight back against the Rabbitohs attack that has been pretty staunch thus far.
The attack has definitely been staunch. It's the defence that has always been good for South Sydney. Ever since season 1, they've been renowned as one of the best defensive teams in the competition. As I say that, Bo Sadler palms off the tackle of Logan Guys, makes his way just over the Rabbitohs 40 as they spread it near side, right underneath us, Ollie, as Moscow finds Iron on the inside. It was a great offload from Luka Moscow. Iron was covered well, but the Broncos making good meters up the middle at the moment as they just short of the Rabbitohs 10. They have Sadler at dummy half. He goes long to Raymond. Mansour finds Herban. Herban, hot potato to Justin Plays. The captain's taken down around about 7 metres out here. The Broncos, they go flat. Sadler, this is great passing by the Broncos. Spillane decides to hold on to it. Had his hand free momentarily. Still 7 metres out. Mansour goes up to Raymond. That's a better kick from Levi Raymond. Coming through was... I'm not sure. I think it was Sam Herban or Simon Hunt coming through, but it was taken down by a Rabbitohs player. But it will be another line dropout, the second of the game for South Sydney.
Yeah, what a huge play there. I believe it was Sam Herban who just was not, again, Levi Raymond put in a solid kick, but that time Sam Herban kind of played both sides there. Herban had a great offload opportunity, but he just slipped it out too slow. They probably could have gone straight place to Weston, and Weston goes over in the corner and gets them on the board, but instead it's just too slow, and Plays ends up getting mobbed by the rest of the team. And as such, quickly pivot of a play here as Mansour makes a meal of that one. Still, then another intercept. I mean, this has been back and forth right now, and doesn't feel like any team can really get out of this territory right now.
They are stuck down this near side of the field on the left hand. Rabbitohs end of the field as they stay left side. I tell you what, this left edge for the Broncos is looking the most dangerous of the two. And I wouldn't be surprised if Levi Raymond starts to use Luka Moscow a lot more as we approach half-time. It's Alexander Chapman to play the ball forward. Mansour's had his hands on the ball a fair bit in this opening 40 minutes as Lillard charged it forward, the number 15 off the bench for his first touch in the game as Mansour puts it high. Not an expected kick for Mansour. It's been knocked back into the hands of James Thorne. No one at the back for the Broncos. Herban's chasing, but Thorne's going to have too much speed and will cross onto the post for the Rabbitohs' third try.
Oh, no, that is just heartbreaking there. They try the tap back play, but James Vaughan had the book on them, the full encyclopedia, just takes it right back over after the tap back and just says, I got this and I'm going to take this with me. And he just goes for length of the field. A huge momentum swing. Brisbane potentially with a chance to make it a one-score game, make it 10-6, now find themselves down 16-0.
It was a great kick by Cody Mansour. Landed in right the spot they would have wanted it for a young rookie under pressure. A couple of Rabbitohs players were coming down. I think it was Mason Remy who was right on Cody Mansour. So it was a good kick. But there was no one at the back there for the Broncos. Herman was up chasing for the ball. And James Vaughan, well, was he onside? I guess we'll never know as the game's now restarted. The Rabbitohs convert. 16 points to nil, 33 minutes gone. Ollie, the Rabbitohs out to a comfortable lead at the moment. The Broncos have had one or two opportunities over the last couple of sets. And Levi Raymond is trying to step up, just like you said earlier on. But they are struggling to find any sort of momentum through their forward pack at the moment.
Well, I mean, it's just that he's done what he can, but it just doesn't seem like the rest of his team is really moving up with him. Perhaps that's the reason why he does only have a one assist. It's because none of his team is able to really get onto those kicks. And as such, they try to run a play and then it just gets completely blown up by James Vaughan and it just gets turned on its head. I think that's what they need to try and be able to do is don't try and run those plays anymore. I think you've got to throw it out the window now. You've seen that it got blown apart. Let's just see if we can get a simple gather and score over the top because, we've seen South Sydney do that, and I think Brisbane could absolutely do the same with a kick by Raymond or Mansour.
I'd love to see a 40-20 here from the Broncos. It's tackle 3. Thought they may have gone for it as Butterfield was up rather shallow in that defensive line as Weston just slices through the middle of the Rabbitohs defence. Taken down in a good ball and all tackle by Josh Butterfield, but that set the Broncos up nicely on their 5th tackle for Mansour, who just punches it down to the wing of Jai Collins. Good chase from Mansour as well as he wraps him up on the Rabbitohs 20.
I think that's a poor option, honestly. I just think that Mansour probably could have put one a bit higher up to really force Collins to catch under pressure. Even if he might be a bit more experienced in this rain, that would be something that he needs to try and do more often is just find some ways to make attacking opportunities. Don't just go for the stab kick into the corner. Look for other options to try and get yourself on the board here, especially with 5 minutes to go in the half. You need momentum right now. It won't help it.
That's right, Ollie. I would love to see a nice high torpedo punt off the boot of Levi Raymond or, as you mentioned, Cody Mansour to really test some of these Rabbitohs outside backs with this gale. We've got around about 16 knots of wind coming from the northern end of the stadium, going right to left as we see a big shot on Bo Sadler. Oh, sorry, it was Luka Moscow. And he's had the ball jolted from his grip, and the Rabbitohs will have a chance with a minute and a half remaining. They're about 23, 24 metres out as they find Aaron O'Hare on the inside. The Broncos mark him up well and force him back in a good tackle. It was Sadler who was found in that one. Is offside at the play the ball at the moment as Remy pumps the legs and gains an extra couple of metres. 11 metres out here, South Sydney. Less than a minute remaining until half-time. Hayden Davis going close. They're about 3 metres now, the Rabbitohs. Numbers to the left. They go right. No, it looked like they were going to go right, but they found Ellison on a flat ball to the left. He can't find his way through. Possibly the final play coming up. Maybe one more. They won't need it as Liam Ryan comes from deep. They hit him flat, and he just goes straight through the Broncos defence and takes Bo Sadler with him, the Rabbitohs. Score on the stroke of half-time.
Oh, well, I mean, Liam Ryan, the natural half, just decides to take one of his old fullback runs, just sends it right up the middle, gets right through the tackle. No one could wrap the ball up, and as such, just ends up placing the ball down. I would just like, before we go to half, just to quickly touch on something, because an opponent had touched a player, a touch of ball rather without retaining it. But James Thorne was placed onside by that, so that helped.
Everything is helping the Rabbitohs at the moment. The Broncos' form continuing to struggle. The siren sounds. Half-time here at Suncorp, 20 points to 0. Welcome back to SRL TV's live coverage of Tuesday night action in the Simulation Rugby League Premiership. Live from Suncorp Stadium, it's the Rabbitohs leading 22 points to 0 at the break. And Ollie, you've just come up from the Rabbitohs sheds. I know you touched with the Broncos just after half-time as well. Have you got any feedback as to what was said at half-time?
Well, I mean, Bronco captain just said to me, we just need to try and get something out of this game right now. We know we're down, but we really don't want to be out right now. We need to try and get something at least to try and get back from this game. I did also get to talk with Jai Collins. He basically said that he's been content with how the game has gone thus far, but, you know, there are still some opportunities that they're lacking. When I asked him about how Liam Ryan's been at 5'8", he says that he has thus far exceeded expectations, which is very interesting to look forward to. Perhaps he will be a permanent role.
Exceeded expectations. Only Jai will know how high those expectations were, as Aaron O'Hare puts it very high as well. Butterfield takes it, but the Broncos nullify that early attacking opportunity from South Sydney. Dingle is on at half-time as he breaks through the first tackle close to the sideline. Quandale Dingle, and the young rookie has been forced over it by Liam Ryan, I think it was. And experience shows there as Ryan shoves the young rookie over the sideline, 25 metres out.
What a huge, huge turnaround there. I mean, we saw the bat back from Collins trying to get Butterfield involved there, and then the Bronco just decide, all right, let's try the short side raid, and now Davis breaking free here.
I
think he got punched out by a Broncos player and then went dead in goal, and the Broncos have to line dropout. I mean, I was pausing for a moment there because I figured you probably had something to say about that, but instead, it ends up going dead.
I think I was just as confused as you were, Ollie. The Broncos player obviously got a hand in the ball and punched the ball out. I thought the Rabbitohs player was going to dive on it for a moment, but maybe they weren't sure who the ball came off either.
Yeah,
but Quandale Dingle has come on for Tyler Weston on that left wing, while Bailey Wilson has made his way on at the number 9 at hooker for Bo Sadler. Broncos defending 15 metres out from their own line as Allison takes another good, hard, flat ball. Short of the line here to Rabbitohs. Final tackle was Ryan, who'll put it high, coming down just to the right of the uprights, but it's San Herban, the Maltese Falcon, who takes it just to the left of the uprights. And the Broncos, well, they are surviving in these opening 5 minutes. 2 or 3 raids they've had on them off the boot of Liam Ryan. The score remains 22 points to 0.
Yeah, that was a pretty decent kick there from Ryan. Just put a bit too much weight on it. Of course, he does have a wind at his back now due to the changing of ends. You know, the Broncos had it previously and weren't able to really do anything with it. In fact, it was probably more of a hindrance to their kicking game. Just going back to an earlier play here, which basically was the first real attack, the first touch of the ball, rather, the Broncos had. They ended up just, you know, trying to go for that short side raid. Ryan just said, no, here's the sideline, give the ball back to us. And again, that was kind of like what the Broncos had kind of set out to do, try and get something out of this game. And, well, Liam Ryan just said no. And now the Broncos, after what was pretty feeble set there, now have to try and get back on their heels and defend again, or at least try and get themselves on the front foot if they can prevent Rabbitohs from making another line break.
Yeah, it was Cody Mansour who sent that final tackle kick down to the wing of Tyrone Clay, trying to catch Clay up shallow in the line. Clay managed to get back well and return that one. Cody Mansour on debut. I think he's had a pretty good debut overall. He's put some nice high kicks up as the Broncos come away with the ball after a Rabbitohs mistake. But he would be rather impressed with how the nerves have held up. Obviously, it's a big moment making your debut in the SRL. Rugby League's premier eSports competition. I'm sure you, Ollie, can remember the day that Ollie Pache made his debut in the SRL for the Canberra Raiders.
Penrith Panthers, but yes, I do remember it quite vividly. You know, I actually remember my trial game, basically the first time we got to put on a jersey and sending an absolute beauty of a try assist out to Nathan Fisher. And I'm sure Cody Mansour will love to put on a try assist here, but here goes Collins through.
Good return there by Jai Collins, and I'll have to give myself stand in the corner for a moment after saying that you played for the Canberra Raiders. Apologies about that, Ollie. Sometimes happens after we've had so many players come into the SRL over the past 4 or 5 months. It's hard to keep up sometimes as Butterfield uses his speed to get through the line. His first game at the fullback, and he hit that ball with speed, timed it to absolute perfection. And Joshua Butterfield crosses early in the second half. He will not be stopped. And the Rabbitohs continue to extend their lead here at Suncorp Stadium.
Yeah, that was a beautiful run there. Butterfield just cut his way right. Then as soon as he saw Sam Herban go up to him, just basically put the starter step, the quick 1-2, and got Herban absolutely flailing at him. And Butterfield just saw an open lane and just decides to go right under the post there, even with defenders trying to cut him down. Josh Butterfield with a beautiful try from fullback. You know, a new position for him, and I think, you know, perhaps he just needed that talk from Collins at halftime, perhaps some advice from Liam Ryan as well on how to play the position and what to do in those kinds of situations. And that time he makes a beautiful, incisive run to get South up 28 points to 0.
This is exactly what South Sydney needed for their points differential. They were around about 27 points behind the Warriors, equal on points, but negative 27 on points differential. Obviously, the Warriors playing tomorrow night here on SRL TV. Brought to you by the NRL Reddit. So that game will hinge on how this one turns out as Butterfield injects himself into that attacking line once again. Looks to be getting a lot more involved in this second 40 minutes, Ollie.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps that's what part of the plan was. You know, they got Ryan that experience at 5'8". They said, all right, we're happy with how he's gone thus far. Let's just keep him there and let's try and get Butterfield more involved. See what he can do with a one jersey. As now he's just been trying to get himself involved in more plays. You know, obviously had that immediate run early on, and they probably want to try and get him a few more kick returns, but that's reliant on what Brisbane do, as now they send a breakthrough with Jordan Ford, and that will also test Butterfield, him having to make those coverage tackles that Liam Ryan has been so adept at before. It's definitely a tougher test at fullback, trying to make those kinds of stops. And, you know, so many players, you know, Kennedy, Yara Matangi, Kane Chapman-Kenny, when he plays in that role, they all have to try and make very difficult stops in order to, you know, make sure that tries don't go through. You know, you're the last line of defense. They have to rely on you at some point.
There has to be that trust aspect in the team, and that last line of defence has to be solid as well, as Ford has taken in that final tackle, an underwhelming final play there for the Broncos, and 28 points to 0, 50 coming up, 55 minutes gone here, Ollie. The rain is starting to ease slightly, but the pressure from the Rabbitohs is not wavering at all. This Broncos defence has been tested all night as O'Hare busts through the middle this time. And if the Broncos aren't careful, the floodgates could open any second.
Yeah, I feel like they have pretty much been let loose a bit already, you know. Perhaps just a bit of locks on the dam lowering as, oh, that's not gone well for them. That time Jackson Allison gets in the way of the ball there. It's right into his hand, and a bit of a let off there for the Broncos as the Rabbitohs look to attack that right edge of Brisbane. Ends up not working out for them thanks to some miscommunication, though. I have to say, Brisbane kind of have the same on that last play there. They tried to do a little double pass there, I think, to get Levi Raymond that ball, but as such, they ended up just making a bit of a meal of it. At least Jordan Ford tried to scrap his way through it, but that time nothing doing. But this time it may have something here as Creedal Chapman makes a run, and as I say, that commentator's curse, Mansour gets leveled, and they give it right back up.
Defence coming up hard on Cody Mansour. Had a good first 40 minutes in his debut for the Broncos in the SRL, but a good hit on him there by the South Sydney rushing defence. Jars the ball free, and South Sydney come away with it.
Yeah, I think that was also him just running up the line, and then the South Sydney decided to give him the SRL welcome and just take the ball right out of his hands, well, without him being able to grip it well enough, especially in this rain. That'll be something to watch out for as well. You know, how does the rain affect the grip here, especially as players are getting more tired?
Fatigue is coming into it. You can see a couple of those Broncos forwards. They are huffing and puffing, trying to make their 10 at the moment as Moscow returns. This one, wow, it's a good burst from Luka Moscow. Has had a quiet game thus far. The former Cowboys sensation on the wing. Hasn't had the biggest of seasons for Brisbane. So a couple of games to go as they go through the hands to Herman, almost getting away from the tackle. The clutches of Jackson Cutler as Hunt busts through the middle this time. Good meters from the second row, just short of the Rabbitohs 10. They go, it's tackle 4, counting down 60 minutes here at Suncorp. Change of direction for Alex Chapman. Does well to hold on to the ball. Fingertip control for a moment. Final tackle to Raymond. On the toe once again. Spillane comes through, picks it up in the wet, and the Broncos are on the board in front of their home crowd.
Well, you know, you try and get some damage limitation in this game, and that's exactly what they get there. Levi Raymond, finally, he got one. He's got a second try assist, and that time it was a perfect bouncing ball there. I'm not sure what Jack Carr was doing on that occasion. It looked like he just turned his back to the play there, thought someone else was going to scoop it up, but he ends up getting back too late, and Jack Spillane moved over to the second row, started in the locks, just ends up being able to get a ball that bounces right up in front of him and dives over. Finally, Brisbane are able to get something out of this match, 3/4 of the way through the game. Now it's going to be up to them to maybe try a mount a late comeback here, but time's not on their side, and here is that conversion.
That conversion definitely was not on the right side. Spillane has been one of the best in the forwards for the Broncos so far tonight. He's already over 115 metres for the game. As mentioned, he has switched from that 13 to the 12. His second try of his career, the first for Brisbane since switching in Season 3. Scored one try for the Panthers back in Season 2. But his first try for the Broncos. Assuming he probably did a nudie run last season. As the game is back underway. Crowd figures have just come in. 23,500 here at Suncorp for this one on a Tuesday night. A wet Tuesday night, Ollie. We're lucky to be up in the commentary box for this one. I know that Lachlan Martin, the SRL commissioner, is down on the sidelines in his bright orange jacket as Raymond looking for the 40-20. Butterfield gets back to that one, arms outstretched, taking it fantastically in the wet. And Josh Butterfield is really growing in these fullback boots.
Yeah, I mean, that's a difficult catch even in dry conditions. Basically coming back to the ball and trying to, you know, basically make a basket catch while you're running backwards can be so difficult. While you're basically just trying to track the ball like a NFL wide receiver on a go route. but ends up just snagging it beautifully and even has enough to make a few meters out of it as well. At that point, that will be fine off just a surrender tackle, but made his way back to the ball well, and that'll be a huge sign for South that he might be a natural potentially for this fullback role if he can make plays like that.
Well, as we discussed earlier in the game, it'll be interesting to know the thought process that both Liam Ryan and Jai Collins have for Butterfield at the back as he makes another break on this left edge, managed to get around Dingle with no real problems. Taken down by Herb and the Rabbitohs on the final tackle. It's Ryan putting up another one, coming down right on the try line. Herben takes it and diffuses out to the 20 for the restart. But Butterfield at the 1. Looking forward to season 5, you'd have to say it's likely that Butterfield will probably line up with Ryan in the halves. There are rumours that this upcoming off-season could be one of the biggest transfer markets that we've ever seen in the SRL. So it's all speculation at the moment. None of us really know what's going to take place.
Well, we do know, of course, that Jack Carr will be leaving to captain this side. So he kind of gets a preview here as well of what he might be having to take over for these past hour and now the next 15 minutes. And that'll be something that he has to look forward to, getting to captain a new side.
He was quite harsh in his comments on SRL 360 on Friday night. It's a great kick as Herben picks it up. The Broncos, well, we have seen them fight back in the past. They are not a team that will lie down and just take it. 28 points to 8. They cross for their second try of the second half. Herben grabs this one, and with around about 14 minutes remaining, this kick would make it an 18-point ball game.
Yeah, it was a really good run there. Sam Herben basically just got out to the play and realized exactly where it was going to be. Just took advantage there of Aaron O'Hare, who just tries to rush up there, absolutely whiffs on it. And then it's just a quick run in for Herben. I definitely think this is the only way that they can make a comeback. It's basically via Sam Herben. By the way, second try assist for Levi Raymond. He has, I believe, double that total so long as I count it for him. And, Plays has hit the post and it's gone back. And now they had a chance to make it a free-score game, but now they have to fight from 4, just making it that much more difficult on himself, the outgoing captain.
20-point ball game. They're going to have to score 4 tries in the remaining 13 minutes. There's an unfortunate miss for Justin Plays. A crucial one it was as well. Not a kick that you want to miss. Obviously, their season is not on the line here for the Broncos. It is just pride they're playing for. You mentioned earlier, Jack Carl has been elected or announced to be the new captain at Brisbane for season 5, and in my opinion was the perfect choice to take over from Justin Plays. Not to say that Justin didn't deserve another season. I think that he's done a fantastic job in many respects, but I think the right call was made, and just my opinion that the right call was made to replace Justin. Jack has been quite clear that Justin remains in his plans for season 5, although many of those Broncos players will be on the outer.
Yeah, that is something that is kind of interesting in that regard, is that, Justin Plays still being a part of the club, how will he be treated by the rest of the club? And I think Jack Carl will need to make sure that he gets the respect he deserves, as much as it might be, copping flack for not being able to win a game as captain this season. It is something else to think about. It is a difficult job captaining a football side. We can always think, I would do better than Hugh Jackson going 1-31 in 2 seasons, but you put yourself behind the wheel and you get to really see what happens in this league, and it's difficult for them to try and come out of this one now. They just had to try and basically restart everything from scratch now. As that time, Herben tried to make a run, but was stuffed back, made a repeat set. And now the Rabbitohs get another chance to attack here with 9.5 to play.
The clock is counting down, less than 10 minutes to go here on Tuesday night in the Simulation Rugby League Premiership. Thanks for joining us. If it's the first time you've tuned in, welcome to Rugby League's fastest growing eSports competition. If you want to be a part of it, head to the link in the description of this video. Join us on the Discord, and you as well can be a player in the Simulation Rugby League Premiership as we see the first penalty of the game. Late as it is, Cody Mansour will search for the sideline. You would assume just inside the Rabbitohs half. The Broncos still 20 points down. Have to say the Rabbitohs have got this one wrapped up, and they keep their finals hopes alive. The only team in the SRL who have made finals appearances in all three of the previous SRL finals competitions. Have not missed a finals, have not had missed a finals appearance since the Simulation Rugby League came about. As Dingle Quandale just inside the 30. Wilson goes to Diab, who cuts back on a good line. Coda Diab's had a strong game at number 8, the prop tonight. Raymond putting it high, far too shallow. Easy for a Shea. And he steals an extra couple of metres as well. Taken down by Diab, but not before he got out to his 30.
Now, if a result holds now, of course, South Sydney will move from -6 point differential, and so for Warriors, if they win, they know that it's going to be win or go home, and if they lose, they know that they will have perhaps a little bit of ground to make up, depending on how much they lose by. Of course, if they lose by anything versus the Penrith Panthers, which will be the final game on Wednesday night. Now, this is going to be what Souths have to look forward to. You know, they have a date with the Warriors to maintain that final streak. It'll be something that they will definitely hold dear to themselves. And, you know, we have so much to look forward to. A potential duel for the minor premiership between Canberra and Manly, and, you know, Auckland and South Sydney vying for that final spot. I mean, you couldn't ask for much more out of the final round, if I'm honest.
Some big games coming up, and don't forget tomorrow night here live on the Simulation Rugby League Premiership YouTube channel. It's the North Queensland Cowboys who take on the Canberra Raiders live from Queensland Country Bank Stadium. That one's set to kick off 7:30 local time, while the Warriors at Forsyth Bar Stadium down in Dunedin will take on the Panthers, and they will not be used to those cold conditions. Well, actually, they might be. What do you reckon, Ollie?
Well, I mean, hailing from the ladder, I wouldn't be used to them if playing for my junior grades. But, I mean, Penrith has been a bit cold of late. I reckon we'll be able to get used to that. And at the very least, we'll have a bit of time to train. You know, we've been down there. The squad has kind of tried to get used to these conditions here, as we might have a try here, just having a look.
As we head up to the bunker, referee says it's a try. A couple of Rabbitohs players around. Looks like Bo Sadler was forced onto his back at the last second. No try is given. So fourth tackle here for Brisbane. Still a couple remaining. Spillane gets another good short ball and holds on to that one well. Numbers to the left if they want it. They come right for Raymond to put it high. Again, a little bit too shallow from Levi Raymond, and Butterfield comes charging forward, attacks that one nicely and takes it with the front leg up as Cutler now bursting down through the field and gives the way to Dingle. So the intercept pass there, and the Broncos come away with it. Yeah, straight after this game, Ollie, we will need to get on a plane because we've got less than 24 hours before we take the field over there down in the South Island. Dunedin has plays through the gap. The Broncos will finish this one with a try. It's the captain who crosses to the right of the uprights, and it's been the Broncos who have had the better of the two sides in the second half. But it was the first half that South Sydney sealed the deal. But Brisbane have shown a few signs. It's a little bit too late. 3 tries in the second half, Ollie. They have shown they do have what it has to come back in the SRL.
Yeah, I mean, I don't usually like to try and rip on plays, but Jackson Cutler makes a break, throws an intercept ball right over to Quandale Dingle, and then Justin Plays ends up sidestepping Cutler again. So he's liable for this try entirely. As much as his team could try and bail him out, Plays did not have the legs to do so. Justin Plays is deceptively quick, but I mean, that's just poor play there. And I do think that'll be something to consider. Do they want to continue on with Jackson Cutler in that center position? They do have other options. They might want to start Chase Williams, perhaps even O'Shea Olay. But again, that'll be something to look forward to in their next match. A date with destiny in the finals. But for this one, I think they can at least just say, all right, it happened, move on, given that there is only a few seconds left.
Points differential is important. It's the Rabbitohs who will take this one here at Suncorp. Their first win in Brisbane in the Simulation Rugby League Premiership. It's a convincing one, although I just alluded to it. They've let in 14 points in that second half, winning the game 28 points to 14. And as we've mentioned already in this telecast, the Warriors and the Rabbitohs will be locking horns next week. Both teams coming into this game sitting on 4 points. The Rabbitohs now move to 6. The Warriors coming up against the Panthers tomorrow night. A win there will put them on 6 points, but they have the better points differential. And so those late tries to the Brisbane Broncos, disappointing, you would think, for Jai Collins and that leadership team.
Yeah, I think they'll just need to look at their defense in that second half, see perhaps if they want to make any changes to it. Perhaps the changes that they did make, bringing on Dranigan, Williams, Olay, and Talis Riff, they might have just decided, okay, well, they weren't exactly solid. Let's just try and stick with Remy and Davis. And I mean, Davis had been fairly solid for them, and as well as Remy scoring. That'll be something that we need to look at, as of course we will look to the statistics now.
One of those stats that I'm looking at right now is the errors stat at halftime. It was the Broncos who were 5 errors to 1. The Rabbitohs have conceded 7 errors in that second half to the Broncos 2. So that's a big change, a swing in, I guess, fortunes there in that second 40. And it really showed the Broncos scoring 14 points in that second 40 minutes.
Yeah.
As we look at the Broncos stats here and some good minutes across the park. .356 metres for James Thorne, obviously helped by that 90-metre try that he scored in the first half. Kicking metres, another dominant display from Liam Ryan, this time with the boot. 236 metres, not bad for a player who doesn't usually play in that halves. But Josh Butterfield playing in the number 1. If you were the captain for South Sydney, looking at finals footy going forward, who do you play in the number 1 next week?
Oh, I mean, that's such a tough call to make, but I think like Liam Ryan, he showed potential in the halves, but I feel like this is just going to be a stash option at this point. I think you have to stay tried and true. Hell, I would even consider perhaps not even having Jack Carl start the game, given that he had 3 errors, most of which came in that second half. That is something to consider, but that will be something to look forward to later on. As going over to the Broncos side, yep. No, I actually don't see them. Levi Raymond did get a try assist. There it is. We finally have one.
Sam Herbin, only 91 metres. A fullback with only 91 metres is almost unheard of in the SRL. And, we know how important a good performance from a fullback is in the SRL, and only 2 line breaks, only 91 metres. There's one area of concern for the Broncos, an area that they know they need to improve on. Jack Spillane, a second rower, a forward with the most metres gained in a game. That, again, another stat that's almost unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, who would have expected Jack Spillane to do that? I mean, granted, he had his great breaks. He also had a great kick as well. I think he might be one of the potential sleeper forwards for the Broncos in the future to be that guy that they can play around. Even 24 tackles, he kind of was just do-it-all player, which, again, surprising.
Yep, good 80-minute performance from Jack Spillane, 4 line breaks as well for the big fella. But the Rabbitohs coming away with the points here tonight, 28 points to 14. Ollie, was a pleasure calling our first game together tonight, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the pitch once again tomorrow night.
Yeah, all the best of luck to you. I really look forward to that match. Be sure to tune in. It's going to be an absolute firecracker.